How to calligraph a Bach Sarabande. For this copy, original editions and manuscripts were examined. The modern edition of the Neue Bach Ausgabe has been studied. An exemplary example was chosen for the style of Bach's handwriting. A digital concept score was created for the layout, and a part of Bach's secondary literature was read for analysis. The Sarabande of Bach's fourth keyboard partita was published in 1728, and part of his first commercial collection. Opus 1 was probably engraved by his student Balthasar Schmid. No manuscript in Bach's hand, an autograph, has been preserved. A manuscript of an organ piece from 1727 has been chosen as a good example of his writing style. It shows that the golden days of his early 1720s blossoming of his expressive hand were far from over. We can validate and appreciate this as visual art. A comparison with graphic art might clarify this. A Minoan painter decorated a vase 3,500 years ago. A Baroque curly octopus, itself an ink master, looks you vividly in the eye. This is personal. No empty space is left unfulfilled. The artist uses his tools confidently and with elegance. It shares its vibrant and ravishing beauty with Bach's hand. Original Bach scores are digitalized, together with additional sources like student copies. 34 copies document the printing history of the engravings. Of the additional handwritten copies, 2 were made during Bach's lifetime. The earliest is by an unknown scribe with an inexperienced hand. The other, from 1740, made by Bach's student Ritter, is excellent and very interesting. Bar 14 is a good example to illustrate the fruitfulness of creating a new calligraphy. The engraver wrote a variation in the opening motif, a quarter note divided into 6 units. The unknown scribe ignored this and created a faulty unit of measure. Ritter wrote a correct rhythmic unity by adding 30-second beats. The modern edition is faithful to the engraver. To explain the differences, we can take a closer look at the publication process. Towards the end of his life, Bach composed his 14th canon of the art of the fugue. As in the Sarabande, we see a high voice with a tendency to flourish in 30 seconds, above a more steady voice in 8ths. Fortunately, Bach's engraving draft for the engraver has come down to us. We can make a few observations. He doubled the note values, easing the task for the engraver, who could make the melody flow in 16th notes. He also adjusted his writing style, simpler and more rigid. The engraver follows the example quite closely. Remarkably, the simple notation did not lead to greater clarity everywhere. At the end of this staff line, his writing was compromised and a few notes lost their heads. It was no problem for the engraver. This sheet by Carl Philipp Emanuel is a list of some pages of the art of the fugue in which the engraver made an error. On average, there is a mistake on every page. In Bach's personal copy of the Goldberg variations, we see how he dealt with this. It is now faded, but previously red ink would have sparkled on the bleached page. It tells of omissions and misreadings. Sold copies do not show these amendments. Proofreading a prepared copperplate could have solved this, especially taking into account his keen eye. Once the plate was engraved, it was a fixed thing. So there are reasons to trust and rely on a good modern edition. Yet, taking into account a broader perspective and close reading all sources, we can question mark doing so. Johann Christoph Ritter was a crafted composer. He was in the fortunate position of learning the Sarabande during keyboard lessons from Bach. His opening melody in bar 1 and modulated reprise in bar 13 have their own phrasing. Ritter, engraver at Neue Bach Ausgabe, place arcs and embellishment not at the same spots. Bach's handwritten example of the Sarabande for the engraver is lost. For cost reasons, fairly small copper plates were chosen. The beautiful division of the quarter note into 6 contributes to the abstract character of the Sarabande. Bach authorized the edition, but insight into the publication process unfolds a possible alternative scenario. Bach's model for the engraving was small, and 30-second beams may have interfered with staff lines, making them virtually unreadable. The engraver might have chosen for a creative and unerasable fix. Ritter's score might document Bach's initial composition in bar 14, authorized by lessons. The opening motif appears again at the end of the Sarabande. Seamless transitions and layout obscure the three-part architecture. Books were consulted for details and analysis. Before the quill was picked up, a digital draft was made. Small details, such as the original stem direction, were honored as a means of expression. Bach's paper for sheet music was larger than the now usual dimensions. A single folio could be 24 by 36 centimeters. The flexible digital design can be used for layout optimization, distributing the bars on Bach's usual scale and dimensions. The new balanced layout provides visual support for the three main blocks. Now the score must be checked for omissions and misreadings. A job that is best done after putting work aside for a while. The end result is a score calligraphed in Bach's lively and inspiring writing style. Done on similar paper and its type of ink, one final task remains. Taking a fresh sheet of paper. Research again and reconsider every decision. And start all over again at the beginning.